Okay, it's November 11th today, Veterans Day in the US, Remembrance Day in Canada, and that made me think of veterans and affiliations, okay? And using affiliative groups to help you make sales. Now, uh, I'm a fraternal guy. I join things and I enjoy being a member, and uh, it's probably been since the mid 90s when I really started doing that. Uh, I've joined fraternal organizations, industrial associations, trade associations, things like that. And they're very useful, but I want to talk about them in relation to your sales career today, okay, and how you might use them. Now, this is, of course, my experience. I'm sure there's other people who have adopted a different approach, and that's worked for them. But I'm going to share what's worked for me here, okay? So you cannot go into these things guns blazing, okay? You cannot expect that a friendly smile and a handshake in a fraternal setting will translate into anything at all in a business situation, okay? Doesn't mean anything necessarily. When I was quite young and belonged to a fraternal organization and thought that I was running a metal fab shop, and this guy was an architect, and I thought I would call him up and get him to buy some of our services, include some of our metal fab work in his architecture. And he answered the phone and he took my call, but as soon as he smelled that this was a sales call, he really just, the walls went up, and I could feel it change, right? And if you're a salesperson who has that intuitive emotional feeling sense, right, you know what I'm talking about, right? And it was shields up, right? And Jason, what is the purpose of this call, right? And this is a long time ago, and I remember those words and the tone in which it was said. And I hadn't had any sales training yet. This was before my epiphany that I talked about yesterday, about realizing, why do I get some orders and not others, and finding out there were other ways of selling. And so I blubbered something about what I wanted and got off the phone pretty quick. And our relationship was never quite the same inside the organization. And so I realized, well, it was probably better if there were sales to be made to let people come to me about it. So definitely talk about what I did and broadcast that, but not push it on other people, because people did do business in that organization. There were a group of past telecommunications company employees who ended up there after retirement, and they did some work together, and that was out of them, though, over several months, getting to know each other, figuring out that they could get along well, and then doing this other thing based out of mutual interest. But calling somebody up just because they're on a list and feeling, this is that covert contract thing I talked about, right? Feeling that you're owed something because of that association. No, they don't owe you anything, right? And I had to find this out for myself. So what I have found affiliative groups are very good for is networking and some research. Okay. So just because somebody's a member of an aeronautica or aerospace industry association doesn't mean that they're at the same level, right? We've got people in there who are line employees, engineers, department managers, company presidents, right? So you have to niche down inside of these associations as well for who you want, right? And if it's something like a fraternal organization, oh boy, you got anybody in there, right? I mean, there are cases I know in England where I was told that this was made up only of police officers, this particular group, right, or doctors or something like that. So they might have done your work for you in those situations, but right. Just don't go in guns blazing, but do ask for a favor. That's fine. That's the old Ben Franklin thing, right? Ask them for a favor, ask to borrow a book. In this case, we're not going to ask to borrow a book. We're going to ask to sit down and you have some questions about the industry from their perspective. Okay. And really, the most educational thing that these folks can give you are pain points, right? They're going to tell you what they believe is going on and their experience has been in that field in their own words. And I'm sure you've heard me talk about this as a copywriter. I've been a copywriter for over a quarter century. Don't change the words. Don't get smart and think that you can be a wordsmith and improve on what they say. Use the phrases of what they said. And when you hear somebody tell you something, a pain point in the same words as somebody else did, you know you got a winner. Okay. And that's going to work for a very long time. So sitting down and talking with them and finding out their perspective and getting to know them a little bit better is a great place to start. Referrals are another area. I would do that after. I would not jump in again going, hey, you got any sales for me? Got any referrals? Right. Find out, like, look, I want to find out what's going on in your world. And this matches up with my philosophy of slow down to speed up. Okay. Have better conversations with fewer people to move ahead, because you're going to discover more rather than blasting through a whole bunch of people, irritating them, probably having them have a bad memory of you, if anything at all. And you're not getting anything out of it, right? Better to slow down, get to know these people a little bit. Don't waste your time there forever. I'm not saying that. Like, there has, this is paired with the energy of, we need to move the ball down the field or advance the plot here, right? We need to move towards the sale, but rushing there is not going to help. Okay. And so using an affiliative organization as a market research, pain point discovery, where to niche down, find out what strata might be best for you to enter that market in, who's the most receptive to talking to you. I mean, I did this in the space industry. Company presidents weren't exactly talking to me at the beginning. And so I found a list of folks who got SBI CIBR grants and STTR grants. And they had the principal scientists there, and I went and talked to them about their experiment, right? What they were trying to develop, what technology, how did it go? And I learned about commercialization problems in the space field from that. Okay, because those people had been experienced with it. It was their baby. They had a vested interest in wanting to talk about it, right? And so I learned a lot. I learned pain points. I learned how to access the company presidents, actually, because after a couple months I was getting better conversations at higher strata, and those people were telling me things I didn't know, that there was a technical and business allowance for CIBRs, right? that you could get a packet of money set aside for business consulting, commercialization consulting, wired into your NASA grant. That was news to me. And a company president told me about that. So and a lot of you are like, oh, I don't know, 2 months. Well, what are you doing with your life? Like, are you in it for a hit and run, try and get in and out, or are you there for the long haul? Like, are you there on purpose, right? Have you taken on the mantle of being this person in this industry and becoming this trusted expert for years to come, so that when people think of this particular field, this particular set of problems being solved in that, they think of you? Is that the brand that you would like to develop? Or have you never thought about any of this before, right? You could do this as a frontline salesman or saleswoman, okay, salesperson. You could do this today. All right. So let me sum up here. Don't charge in and expect that just because somebody belongs to an organization that you do, that they owe you anything. That's a covert contract, right? Okay. They're very receptive in giving you their perspective on the field, whatever it is, right? And you can pull some pain point language out of that if you're careful, right? And you listen for it, and you know what to listen for. Learn what strata inside that organization is most accessible to you, who will pick up the phone, who will talk to you, right? Who will agree to a meeting the most, right? And work forward from there. 2 months may sound like a long time. It's really not in my world. That blows by so fast. And then you got it, right? Now, I want you to remember that that's a moat. Okay, that's a barrier to entry. If you don't know what a barrier to entry is, go to salestactics.org, my blog. Since 2014. How many people do you know have been doing a blog since 2014? And look it up. Search that term on there. Okay, barrier to entry. So that's the hard part at the beginning that makes it difficult. But once you get it, once you figure out how to access those company presidents, right, from the scientists that I started with, it becomes a moat that protects me from competition, because apparently everyone else is too damn lazy to commit for I didn't know how long it was going to take. I just knew this is where I could start and what was working for me for a while, and I would improve as I went because I have faith. So you have to have some faith here, right? But develop these relationships and get the pain points and then start working on referrals after that. Okay. But do not rush in expecting that people are going to, give you the time of day just because you're a member of the same affiliative organization that they are. Okay. Don't expect that they're going to want to work with you. Don't expect that they're going to treat you even the same outside as they did inside. Okay. Because they might, but I've had the experience where it doesn't. And also you got to watch out that a bad experience doesn't poison it for one or both of you. Okay, you got to watch out for that. I had a bad experience in a fraternal organization once that poisoned literally years of effort on my part of going out and visiting and meeting all these people. And that we have that one of these hurricanes has traveled up from Florida here, and it's making a lot of noise, and we have a flash flood warning. Yay. But I wanted to make this video because, again, consistency is one of those values, right, that I have. So it's a long game, but it was an interesting topic because it is Remembrance Day, and I thought of veterans and being, in an affiliative organization like that, and what do you do with it regarding sales? So I'll see you next time, because today's a Friday, but it might not be for you.